before we get the episode started, we just wanted to announce we do have a winner for our 6th anniversary prize pack, and M. Bridget has won it. That goes to show you anything is possible. M. Bridget had one name or one entry in where there was lots of people that had tons. So better luck next year for everyone that participated. We appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch with M. Bridget to get you your stuff. And congratulations yet again. Enjoy the episode.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store. Back where it says horror videos and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Mom with the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I'm Stream Mayhem for Clear Skin, Mike.
And I'm Postmaster C.
And it's Jill.
And we are back, and I'm sure you can tell there's some pep in my step today, because boy, have
some lep in your step.
Some lep in my step. Oh, I like that one. Because, yeah, this is the episode I've been waiting 1 year for. Every year. It's our annual St. Patrick's Day episode. We might just retire St. Patrick's Day once we're done with Leprechaun movies. It's done. Just cancel.
You heard it. Rowan just canceled the holiday period.
I think we should all just retire from the podcast as a whole when we finish all the Leprechaun movies. There's nothing left to discuss.
On?
Exactly.
Yeah, like...
I was actually at Walmart today, and I saw they had like one of those COVID era like horror movies that like no one owns. Walmart just buys for $50 and then prints them on DVDs. But it was like St. Patrick's Day themed, and they were selling it. I should have bought that, and that'd be the next review. It was called like St. Patrick's Massacre or something, and
ooh.
I'm sure it was high quality. When you look in the back, it says not rated. That's always a good sign. So maybe that'll be the next route. Hopefully, I don't know. I feel like we're appropriating. Hopefully, someone's got Irish heritage in here. We're just appropriating Irish culture.
How dare you?
In this,
podcast.
I'm
Irish.
Real colonizers of the leprechauns, as they would say. But yeah, I'm rambling.
I have the color in my name. Jesus.
Thankfully, that's the only amount of like cultural appropriation we'll be discussing with this movie this evening.
Yeah, none at all. Yeah, it stops there.
So, well, let's start where we all start. What we've been consuming, what have we been watching, what have we been reading, what have we been listening to, all that good stuff. Colton, let's start with you.
All right. Well, I didn't have a whole lot of time to watch things, but I did check out a couple of movies that were like in the Oscar talks. So whoever, is over about hearing about the Oscars, then, you can skip ahead for a couple of minutes. But I checked out I'm Still Here, which I think that was nominated or actually won Best International Features at the Oscars. And it was really good. It's set in 1970s Rio de Janeiro, while the country is still under the control of a dictatorship, and follows a family after their father was taken in for questioning by military officials. Rowan, did you check that out afterwards? I know you were like making your way through a bunch of them.
Yeah, I was going to announce on my end that I failed miserably this year at I didn't even see like half of the best pictures.
Oh, geez. Okay.
But I didn't. I am going. People are going to have to listen to Oscar stuff forever because I am continuing. I was like, I'm still going to push through and watch everything. So I haven't made it to
like
this
another
yet.
2 or 3 weeks, and he'll be on to something else.
Yeah.
But much of this movie, you're following his wife, Eunice, who's played brilliantly by Fernanda Torres. She was nominated for Best Actress. And while she's kind of trying to take care of these 5 children, but also pressure the Brazilian government into giving her some answers on her husband's disappearance, while also ensuring that she doesn't push too much and wind up disappearing herself. So it's definitely something that's like more your usual Oscar fare. Like, I know, like, I mentioned The Girl with the Needle, I think last episode, which was also nominated for Best International Feature, and these movies are very different in terms of, like, I'm surprised they're both nominated for international feature. They're just very like polar opposites. This is just your more typical upsetting family drama, where I think a lot of what kind of elevated the movie for me was the setting, which I was completely unfamiliar with, like 1970s Brazil, but also just the fact that it's based on a memoir from one of the 5 children and it's actually like a true story, which I didn't know for much of it when I was watching it. So yeah, it's it's an upsetting movie. I think it's really good. Maybe choke up a couple of times, but it's well worth checking out if you're like in the mood for a foreign language drama. And as I said, I think it just won Best International Feature and just hit VOD. So, everyone should be able to find it, if not now, very soon. In addition to I'm Still Here, I had the chance to check out Mickey 17, which I know Rowan was going to see, but wound up going to see Captain America instead.
What?
And surprisingly, he may have made the right choice. This is Bong Joon-ho's latest film, whose last movie, Parasite, won a shitload of Oscars, and in my opinion is like a downright masterpiece. So this one had really big shoes to fill. It stars 2 Robert Pattinsons, Stephen Yeun, Naomi Ackie, Mark Ruffalo, and Toni Collette, and essentially follows a portion of humanity leaving Earth to establish a simpler way of life on another planet. But when they land on that new planet, it just so happens that it's crawling in an alien species that they cannot understand, and the environment itself is generally, inhospitable for humans. So it's a premise that we've kind of seen done in a smaller scale, I guess, maybe not so much intergalactic all the time. But kind of the issue with it is that the first 40 minutes of this movie is explained through pure Robert Pattinson narration while he's doing a funny accent. There's like basically no actual dialogue other than stuff that is just all recorded like ADR after the fact. And it's just like, okay, right away I was like, that's an issue, because I feel like they were trying to like stream together a story like in the edit, like to make it make sense. So it's literally like 40 minutes of Robert Pattinson narration, title card, then it's like 15 minutes of Mark Ruffalo doing his best Trump impression. Then it's Toni Collette being like this manic woman who has an unhealthy fixation on developing the perfect sauce for food. I really don't know what he was going for. The movie has basically a dozen different ideas, and they're all super zany, and then it just completely unravels into like what I could only call like an absolute mess. Every scene is twice as long as it should be. There's multiple characters that appear early in the movie, and then the movie just forgets about, and they basically don't appear for the rest of the movie until like maybe near the end. Like, when you're doing like the movie's wrapped up, let's cut to the characters to show where they are. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot you were in the movie. I never saw you for like an hour. Like, it's just insane. There's all these plot threads that are introduced, never pay off. I just don't really know what he was doing here. It's similar to like Parasite, where it kind of mixes different genres or like dips its toes in. Parasite was like very deftly done, where it was like, okay, it's a family drama, and then it's kind of like a thriller, a little bit of a horror, some satire in there, some comedy. It's it's just so deftly done in that you're not really like confused, or you don't really get tonal whiplash. This is like one moment it's a sci-fi drama, then it's a horny rom-com, then it's a political satire, then it's an action blockbuster, then it's a screwball comedy. And it's all just like so bizarre and just didn't really come together for me like whatsoever. I think the only things I can literally praise in the movie are like Robert Pattinson's still a great actor. I don't like a lot of what he's doing here. He obviously has a very strange accent on, which he loves to do in so many of his roles. But I just, didn't really care for his character all that much. And I think the alien race actually winds up being pretty cute. I can see them like selling plushies for these little things that they call creepers. Which,
you're gonna start reading alien fucking novels now?
No, I don't think.
Jill
I never met
a couple she can recommend.
I never met cute in that way. I meant like cute in like a little like squishy, I don't know, weird little kind of alien thing. And they were brought
toy, Michael.
Like different type of toy. Yeah, exactly. I do think they were like brought to life though, pretty good with like some good visual effects and whatnot. Because this movie is very expensive. I think it was like over $120 million, and I just have no idea how they'll ever make like any of that money back. Like I went to the opening night screening, and I don't know, I'd say there was like 25 people in my theater, and this is the sort of movie where they're like going for broke all the time. Like I said, all the performances are over the top. Everything's like ratcheted up to 11. So it is the sort of thing where there's lots of times there's jokes or awkward deliveries where they're waiting for like the audience to laugh. and nobody was laughing. It was just like silence for over 2 hours of watching this movie. And I think everybody was probably more or less experiencing what I was experiencing, which was like, oh, I think this is my least favorite Bong Joon-ho movie by like a significant margin. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Mickey 17, and the friend I went with, she didn't like it either. So it was just, I don't know. It was kind of like nice to kind of commiserate after the movie, I guess, and basically both like complain about it, but it was just very much, we both came away thinking the exact same thing. And then yeah, other than that, I haven't really watched much else because I've been completely consumed by Monster Hunter Wilds. I put like 80 hours into that in the past week, and what I'll say is that like this story or the campaign like completely sucks and essentially boils down to just like being forced to follow a character across like a large open world map for 5 or 10 minutes, watching a cutscene where they introduce the monster, you fight it for 7 or 10 minutes, and then you just watch another cutscene or two, and you just do that over and over again for like the first 20 hours.
Oh my God, that sounds awful.
It's like genuinely like the split between like actually playing and fighting monsters and like being forced to like talk to characters, engage with the story content, like watch all the cutscenes. It's like literally like 70-30, like 30% like you're actually playing the game. After that, the game does get significantly better because it just lets you like actually team up and fight people, and it's not like as intrusive about like your party has to disband now to continue. Now we can get back together and disband again, get back together like over and over again. So like that's the thing. It's like playing through the main story is absolutely miserable, but if you're just like rushing into battle, leaping off your weird like feathered velociraptor thing and hitting, you know, this big flame octopus with a sword or something with like 3 of your friends, like that's pretty fun, but it's just like you don't really get to that shit until like much later in the game. It's like very much a sort of game that makes you play it the way they want you to play it. And like these sections where I say like you're following someone across a map, you can literally put down your controller, not touch the game, and it'll just walk you with them the entire way. There's like nothing you're doing. So there's so much of the game where it's just on rails, you're not doing shit. So it's all like post-game stuff where you're actually fighting the monsters, and then it's fun. But yeah, it's pretty clunky overall. And then it also has like just a terrible user interface where it's like menus on top of menus on top of menus. And someone who's been playing video games for like, I don't know, like 25 years, the fact that like I had to consult Reddit to like understand like how many different like lobby systems and invites and stuff there were to even like figure out how to like play effectively with my friends is just like insane. Especially when I played Monster Hunter Worlds like whatever it was 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess on like everything other than the pure monster hunting part, which is still very fun. But it's just, you know, there's a lot of bullshit around it that makes it the sort of thing where I can't really recommend it as like this great game or anything. For me, it's more of like this mindless social thing where I'm chatting with a few friends, playing along, just smacking dragons or whatever the fuck you're doing in the game. You know, it's not like this deep thing. But yeah, that's basically all I've been doing. What about you, Jill?
Smacking dragons.
Smacking dragons, yes.
You can hear more about it on It Plays episode 6, I think we're on now. I think we should just start.
We're not starting that.
I think we just start pitching that we've already started it, just everyone's missed out on it, and we'll just keep being like, oh, this we talked about this on episode 16.2.
I say we add it to the Patreon, like, you know how we advertise that all the episodes come out 48 hours early, and then we just never deliver on it.
Dang.
Listen.
Dang. Okay, the burns.
Some days.
I actually watched 2 movies today. I woke up and went to see a matinee of sorry, I keep saying Night of. No, it is Night of. Night.
Is she having a stroke? Or
no, I'm just like,
are you okay?
Dude,
I'm like,
please
is
cut
Jill's
this part
connection
out.
cutting out?
Sorry, I am so sleep deprived today. Sorry.
Because you went to a matinee, right?
No, it's
we
because
should also say that we're out of sorts because this is the worst day of the year, i.e. we lost an hour of sleep overnight.
Exactly.
True.
And I already went to bed super late and woke up early to go to a matinee of Night of the Zoopocalypse. And hopefully there will be a now slang for that coming out.
I'm going tomorrow at a matinee also. I'll be tired as well, Jill, because I have to work tomorrow. What? And I'm going...
What is this movie?
This is the kids movie that's, it's like from a Clive Barker story.
Yeah. based on a
Okay.
Clive Barker concept, apparently. But it's honestly giving very, it's very, I don't know, George Romero vibes, which is kind of what I expected going into it. I'm not going to talk about it because you can go listen to our episode about it.
You can find out if there's a lot of leather in it or not on our episode.
Exactly. And then afterwards, I showed Frankenhooker to Anthony. It was his first time watching it, and he really liked it as well. And we just put out our episode on that.
I noticed that on Letterboxd. I was like, what is everybody watching this now?
Yeah, apparently it's like having some kind of resurgence. But yeah,
Colton's
I watched
nightmare.
it again. Colton's dying on the inside.
I'm just thinking about how this is going to be another Lisa Frankenstein where every episode I got to hear about it for another year.
Then I also rewatched Donnie Darko. It's been a while. It's been a minute.
I haven't seen that forever.
That.
Same.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I remember watching it as a teenager and I was obsessed with it. Like, couldn't get enough of it. I've watched it so many times. And so, yeah.
How much did you want Drew Barrymore to be your teacher?
Like, all the time.
Yeah.
I think about it.
I was like, where was Drew Barrymore teaching me Graham Greene short stories? Like,
and she has so much attitude.
oh, she's such a queen in that movie.
It just always hits. It's a good one. Also, I keep forgetting how much that soundtrack bangs.
Oh my God, I was listening to Tears for Fears yesterday, and I was like, I can't hear any Tears for Fears song without thinking about that movie now.
I also watched Leprechaun 2 for Straight Jacket Talk. That episode should be out soon. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of Leprechaun watching this week. I watched that, and I watched the one we're going to cover today, In the Hood. I watched it twice this week, so it's...
She's such a big fan.
Christ.
Someone pray. This is why I'm so tired and just like beat. The life has been like pummeled out of me by Leprechaun. I also, this is pure trash, but maybe Rowan will be able to talk to me about this one. Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frankie.
Oh my God, I started watching that. I only watched 2 minutes of it though.
I saw it popped up. I didn't click on it or anything. The true crime stuff I usually try to save to see if Exilio wants to watch it with me, and
yeah,
it's been on. I've got it marked down.
Mm-hmm.
I was like caught up on all of my new like Real Housewives episodes and White Lotus and Yellow Jackets, and I was like, I need something to put on while I'm eating, so I like started watching that, and then I realized that there was this dark side of reality TV thing, so I forgot about I just turned it off.
Yeah,
I will watch it though. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it was good. You hear a lot from the oldest daughter, who's kind of estranged from the family. And,
is that the one who just put the book out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sherry,
yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of following the case when it was happening in real time on social media, so I was just interested because I knew she had put a book out and I wanted to see what she had to say about it. It's pretty miserable, but like, you know, if you're into that kind of fare, it's sad, but
yeah, like miserable in the way it's trying to evoke, or just like a miserable like documentary to watch. Like there's, you know, it's terrible.
The content,
yeah,
I would say is pretty miserable. Just like, you know, it's not very palatable for everybody to kind of watch. Like it could get you down just like thinking about how people could, you know, do such horrible things to their kids, all under the guise of like religion and stuff like that. I don't know. It is really sad, but
well, good thing you could never keep me down because I get back up. So
yeah,
you can never keep me down.
Keep him down.
Chubbawamba, the soundtrack.
Where did that come
from?
The
soundtrack to my life.
Okay, all right.
It's a fired up quote. Great
it's gonna
movie.
Be added to the Itzlays playlist on Spotify. We didn't talk about Little Bites last week, did we?
No. We both watched that.
All right. Okay, so Rowan and I watched and discussed Shudder original Little Bites on Stream Screams, which is our Patreon exclusive. So
that'll be
if you're
coming.
Interested, you know, you have to pay us to hear.
It's such a good discussion. I'm sure that it's worth a couple dollars.
Actually, I think we did have a really good discussion on it.
Okay.
Rowan and I were very excited for this one to come out. It's produced by Cher, first of all. Like Chaz Bono got his mom to, you know, get Rob Zombie's brother to make this little movie, which is kind of like the Babadook, but like
yeah, if you're into
but
the
eating
Babadook,
flesh.
it's
the same thing.
Inspired by that.
Don't tell Colton that because he's gonna watch it and be like, it's not the Babadook, but like it is. It's like grief and a widow and just like being eaten away by this monster that lives in her house. And
me and Jill are heavily invested in Spider-One's career, so
yes, we are.
We've got all the stock on Spider-One.
Yeah.
I like that you're like making me look like some big Babadook fan when I'm pretty sure I gave it like an okay on the episode. I'm not, like, I don't love the Babadook, you know?
I like
look,
Babadook.
So I just checked. I'm the sole person that gave it an okay. You three gave it a yay, for fuck's sake. I don't like the Babadook that much.
I'm just saying it's something more typical that you would like as
Fair.
opposed to the trash that me and Rowan like. And I know you
it's not
probably wouldn't like
Frankenhooker.
this.
I got it. Yeah.
You wouldn't like this, but it's, I don't know, it's evocative of the Babadook. And Chrissy Fox, who is Spider-One's partner, also helped make this, and she played the lead role. She was really good. There's Barbara Crampton in it. We got Heather Langenkamp and Bonnie Aarons.
Oh my god.
And Chaz
okay,
Bono,
whatever
if
this
I
is, I
didn't-
need to see it. How have I never heard of this?
It's on Shudder.
It's on Shudder.
Yeah.
It's like an exclusive that came out to...
Yeah, recent release, right? I saw a bunch of people kind of log it at the same time as around you, like when you two logged it.
Mm-hmm.
It did sound familiar. I was on Shudder on like Friday night, just kind of like scrolling. So I probably saw, like, they probably had it featured then.
This is his second
obviously I didn't know what it was.
exclusive for Shudder, because he did Allegoria a couple years ago, and then me and Jill covered Bury the Bride, which is a Tubi exclusive that he did when they were kind of like first really getting into the exclusives, and now he's back with the Shudder one.
Yeah, we were waiting for this one for months, and I remember seeing it at Walmart the other day. I almost picked it up.
I picked it
on
up
Blu-ray.
today.
Damn it, I should have.
Only DVD though, because Canada only gets the DVDs. So,
so sorry. But apart from that, the only other thing I watched was They Hate You Give. I had read the book, I think, last year or something, and I talked about it on the show. But I finally watched the movie. I forgot that Sabrina Carpenter is in this when she's like,
is she
super young?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been so long since I've seen that. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
even
she plays the
remember her.
friend who's kind of racist.
Oh, cool. What a role.
It lined up pretty much with the book. There's a lot of stuff missing from the movie that was in the book, which I did miss, but I think, you know, I got the message across. I thought it was a good little movie and a really good message. And like if I had a child, I would probably, you know, slide the book on over to them or put the movie on because I think it's important. And that's it for watching things. I don't usually bring up music, but this has been a stacked week for music. Lady Gaga came out with her new album Mayhem, and she was just on SNL. Mother. And man, she's killing it. I can't remember the last time I was so excited for a Lady Gaga album. Like, I'm always excited, but I think the last time I was like this amped was the Fame Monster album. So I'm really excited for this kind of era of Lady Gaga.
When I left work on Thursday, I used my VPN app on my phone to set my location to New Zealand, and I had a 2-hour bus ride home. So I keep forgetting that I have YouTube Premium because I forgot to cancel my membership. So I could just like turn the YouTube because she had it up on her official channel in New Zealand because it was Friday there. Yeah. So I just like spoofed my location in New Zealand and like just put it on my phone and pretended I was listening to it on Spotify. I was just like listening to the YouTube of the album.
I love that.
It was so good.
It's adorable. And on the SNL episode, she starts off by like roasting herself for Joker 2. So I thought Colton might enjoy that.
She was supporting it a lot, like at the time, though. It's the sort of thing where it's like everyone didn't like the movie, and then she was like, "No, it's still really good," you know. Now I guess it's like, you know, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, now it's like, all right, shit is shit. I still haven't seen that, by the way.
She knows that it's going to get recovered in like 10 years and people are going to be like, oh my God, this is the best Batman adjacent movie that ever existed.
When I saw it, I said I liked it. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, but that's Rowan's taste.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to align with Rowan's taste.
I'll probably like it too then if Rowan liked it, honestly.
Jill
Surprise
immediately
musical.
aligns with Rowan's taste.
And Spirit Box released an album this week called Tsunami Sea, and it's really good if you're into metal. And their last album, like full album, was really good, and I think this kind of lives up to it. Did you listen to it at all, Colton?
I did, yeah. It's just been on in the background for me for the most part, like as I've been monster hunting, so it's like I haven't actually devoted time to like actually listen to that or Architect's new album just like in a vacuum. But I mean, they seem good, Courtney LaPlante, she's a great vocalist.
Yeah.
Mommy,
Slapping Dragons, listen to Spirit Box.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the life of the past 20 hours of an unemployed dude.
Yeah, I forgot Architects has a new album. Also Imminence with Return of the Black, which is the other album that I was really excited for. And I think I talked about seeing them live before, like the violin kind of metalcore band. Yeah, their music is just straight fire, and they're putting out fire music videos. And I don't know, just really stacked week for that at least. But Rowan, what have you been up to?
I can't wait until you guys have kids, and then all you've been listening to is like TikTok songs like in your car that all I'm thinking the entire time is my Spotify year in review is fucked again this year. A lot of stuff I'd never listen to.
Can't you do like a little family, like a
kids
child account or whatever?
Yeah, but in the car, it's always my phone in the car. Like, oh yeah, can you put on, I don't know, some song called like Sigma Boys or something, and
Sacrifice.
Yeah, it looks like I'm just really big into Korean music, so...
Don't kids just listen to mini pops anymore, or like Kids Pop?
Nobody ever fucking listened to that.
Yeah, really.
I know.
So I've been doing like weird TV watching where like I've seen most of something just because like in proximity to Exilia watching it, but like I'm not going to go back and watch like the 1 or 2 episodes I've missed, which is I've pretty much finally seen Squid Games. Exilia decided to watch that, and I've seen most of it, and it's fine. I like what I saw was fine. It like not necessarily my thing, but she's also watching like the reality show of Squid Games.
Oh my god!
Which also
it's just Squid Game, Rowan.
Oh, is it Squid Game? There we go. Yeah, and the reality shows also. Those kind of things that annoy me. Just like you guys
I love reality shows. I didn't mention, but I've binged all 3 seasons of The Traitors within the last 2 weeks.
Oh, nice, Colton. Colton's soon going to be a dirtbag watching like Mike.
I now know probably like 10 cumulative housewives. Because of that show. So
I was going to say crazy. Soon Colton's going to be like, I'm on season 3.
I know Teresa was on one of those seasons.
Okay.
I bet you loved her.
I know
all
her
the housewives. They were
TikTok.
Great.
So just like indirectly watching that. I did there was one more. I did get to see one more Oscar watch. I finally got around to seeing Nickel Boys, which I absolutely loved. I gave it a 5-star on Letterboxd. I mean, I sat here and praised saying this is like pretty much the same praise. It was like just probably one of the most unique things I've seen in a long time, and I thought like the acting was amazing, the story was good, like, you're tearing up. It's pretty like powerful stuff. I really, really enjoyed it.
All the surreal elements and like all the archival footage and stuff like work together for you. Like
you some of the surreal stuff I was like, I could probably do without this.
Yeah.
And there was also some perspective stuff where like I was just like sometimes they didn't go with it, and then I was like, okay, this is like throwing me off a little bit. But I didn't really hold it against it. Like as an overall experience, I was just like, these are the kinds of like directors and stuff we need to be like praising and making sure they get lots more work. Yeah. What else did other than, that was the only Oscar thing I watched. I've been doing a lot of like just stuff I've never seen, kind of. I've been busy during the days. It's been off. Everyone, I've said on the podcast a million times, I'm a night guy. I'm up all night, but I haven't been for 2 weeks, so like my body clock is messed up. So it's like I don't want to dig into anything crazy. So I rewatched Deja Vu, Tony Scott, Denzel Washington, which I love this movie. I think I'm just Tony Scott, just God director for me.
Dirt bag alert.
Super dirt bag. I mean, this is, he's like Michael Bay for me. I'm like, let's rock and roll, guys.
So I remember seeing that movie when it was in theaters in Labrador at the Arcturus Theater. And when I had absolutely like no idea like even what like a movie critic was really, or like no critical bone in my body, I remember going to see that movie and coming away and being like, it wasn't very good. didn't love that one.
I liked it for like, I mean, it's like a pretty, it's like science fiction, but not really. It's like Tony Scott's very like, sci-fi, just a little bit ahead of what could be in the future. I think it's a fun time. I enjoy it as kind of a rewatch there. I watched for the first time the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Are you getting excited for the live-action remake? Is that why you're checking it out?
Well, I did this for one of two possibilities. I was like, there is a possibility that my daughter will want to go see it. Probably not. She's not really a theater person, so she'll probably wait till it comes out on Disney. But this is just more, I said last year I wanted to try to see more of these Disney movies. I've never, because I've never seen them. And then I fully went in and was like, all right, let me dig in. So I watched Snow White and...
Wait. Before you move on from that, can we talk about how that your engagement on Letterboxd?
Yeah, I mean, I understand people are upset with me.
Wait, I want to know what
I
you
never
have to
saw
say
this
about
either.
it.
Rowan got dogpiled on
I'm
Letterboxd.
Googling this right
Did you
now.
shit on Snow White or something? on
I get
Letterboxd?
it. But listen, guys, I'm a 37, almost 38-year-old man. Snow White is not made for me. And I thought it was kind of mid. I appreciate that it was like, the first Walt Disney, like this... original animation style or whatever, but I think the songs aren't very good in it at all. I think overall the movie's pretty boring. There's a lot of scenes.
Oh my god! Okay, let's dogpile on Jill too.
No,
please.
I never liked
Everybody,
Snow White.
listeners.
I think it was just like kind of too dated for me.
Yeah, well, and it's just like some of the scenes, there's literally, and I saw it because after, everyone was dogpiling me, I'm like, am I the only one that feels like this? Even people that gave it a good rating. I went on Letterboxd and there was lots of people saying the same thing, that there's literally a scene for like 25 minutes of the dwarves deciding whether or not they should wash their hands. And I'm just like, we don't need this. Like, why? This could be done in like 3 minutes. But instead, like, we get a song, we get a dwarf that doesn't want to wash his hands. Everyone's trying to peer pressure him to wash his hands.
Well, you know what? It turns out that like 100 years later, that would actually...
Very important. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Very important lesson. Anyway, 50% from a 38-year-old man, I think is pretty good for Snow White. I can appreciate it.
2.5 stars.
Yeah, that's 50%.
I love Trevor's comment. Not enough Eddie Murphy and ugly ogre jokes for Rose liking.
Shrek haters, man. Shrek haters.
I don't know why Shrek has to catch, strays, but I appreciate that one.
It's because Ro and Shrek are like they go hand in hand.
My called him mentally ill.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
So I followed that up. I watched the original Pinocchio, which you would have thought I wanted to watch the other year when I kind of, I watched the Robert Zemeckis one, and then we had who did the one on Netflix that came out?
Guillermo
del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro. I knew someone big did it. So I had watched both of those in the same year. But I was like, hey, let me watch. And this one I really enjoyed. I thought it was pretty good. I kind of knew already that a lot of people I listen to, critics and stuff that are horror people, are like, hey, this is a scary as shit movie for kids, and it's pretty actually messed up. The original one. From 1940, and I watched it and I agree. I was like, this is crazy. It's like kids drinking beer and smoking cigars, then they turn into donkeys, and I thought the music was better in this one. I liked the vibe of this one more so than I did Snow White. So you see, I'm not just a Disney hater. I like when we talked about it, I like The Little Mermaid too.
No, I get it.
So
it's just Snow White is like the first Disney
I know.
movie. So like technically that's why I think people love it so much.
Yeah.
But I agree, like it's not my like favorite at all.
Can you like, watch some like Hercules or Aladdin or, something?
Mhm.
I did Hercules. I think I talked about Hercules.
Beauty and the
like,
Beast.
okay.
Last year, I watched Hercules with Exilia because Exilia was like, you got to watch Hercules. That was one of my favorites. And I liked Hercules. I thought that was pretty good. I've seen like Aladdin and The Lion King. Those are like the two I've seen. The Lion King, like,
Okay.
is a masterpiece to me. I really like Aladdin. I think my favorite one I've watched so far that like I didn't see as a child was The Little Mermaid. I think that's still like my favorite one.
Good.
That I thought
You're not
worked.
totally irredeemable.
Yeah. So, Colton brought it up, but yeah, I did go see Captain America: Brave New World. It was between that and Mickey 17. I just wanted to. I was like, this is for me. This is just like, I normally don't go to the comic book movies anymore when they're in the theater. No, I spend way more money and I just buy them on 4K and then watch them. But like, I usually wait till I can just buy it and I'll watch it at home or something. But I want something like mindless. I'm like, let me go. It's been out for a couple weeks now. So let me go sit in the theater by myself, which wasn't the case. I got there. There was 3 other kindred spirits. They were like university gals and guys that were also watching it with me. And they seemed to be comic book nerds like myself. So we all seemed fairly in on it. And it was pretty sad. Pretty mid. Especially because they were definitely trying to market this as like a return to like Winter Soldier and just like heyday Marvel. And I've always said like Endgame, get it out of here. Like in Infinity War, get it out. Like Winter Soldier to me is the best movie Marvel's ever put out. I saw it like 6 times in the theater. I watch it all the time. It's the most entertaining one.
Is that the one that opens with that sequence with George St. Pierre?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
boat.
honestly, that was one of my absolute favorite openings of an action movie ever. I was like, masterpiece.
Well, and that was one of the few Marvel movies that like literally they could not be superheroes and it would still work as a movie. Like it was.
Yeah, it was good.
It was like purely like a spy thriller, and you could tell that's what they wanted to do with this. And sadly, wasn't the case. I know the comic book run. This is based off a pretty recent, like maybe 5 years ago run that what's his name, Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote, who wrote Captain America for a big chunk of time to the alt-right's displeasure. And it was just, I know this had a lot of reshoots, and I feel like I was like, they definitely probably did his storyline, and then were like, yeah, we can't put this out, dog. Trump's winning.
This was a hatchet job. You can tell when you're watching it. Yeah.
His storyline is very, obviously there's all the racial stuff about Sam Wilson becoming Captain America.
To be fair, a lot of that was dealt with in the Disney Plus show, so you might sideline some of that.
Yeah. And like, they did cover a lot of that in that show, because like that whole storybook line is essentially, Sam Wilson finding out about this serpent group, and they're like killing immigrants that are trying to cross over from Mexico into America, and it's like all about white nationalism and stuff. So I was like, maybe a little too political for Disney.
No wonder it flopped.
Disney Plus. This, they toned down, obviously. I was interested to see Red Hulk, Harrison Ford, who, you know what, Harrison, just get those checks. I respect it. Get those checks.
He was fine. He wasn't the worst part of that movie. No, he was all right.
It was just, it's what we keep saying every time one of us talks about these movies. The CGI's terrible. This might be the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I think Morbius looked better than this. Like, this was just, there's no reason it should. This to me looked like CGI, like on a television show, like on like the Sci-Fi Channel. It looked terrible, and it sucks because I like Anthony Mackie and I like I think the Sam Wilson character. Like, the characters in this I enjoyed, but it just, it was a hatchet job, and unfortunately, not great, but whatever. You know, I got my brainless comic book movies in. Sadly, I told Colton, the high school kid that keeps shutting the movies off right when the credits start, struck again. So everyone was waiting, and then she just shut it off and didn't give a fuck, and was like, "See you later."
What?
Yeah.
Never got to see
Wait,
that.
was this in the
Wonderful
afternoon or
after
like
credit-
late at night?
No, I went to the late show, so it didn't finish till after.
Oh yeah, that was someone who's like
Yeah.
literally there with their fucking coat on and boots and just like ready to clock out. And they're pressing one button. And
It didn't finish till like after midnight. But there was like 4 of us in there waiting, and yeah, she just shut it off. She's like, "See ya."
Damn, that's cold. Actually,
I was like, it's all right. I'll just see it online. And then, so my last 3 are kind of weird because I really, obviously, you know, the news, Gene Hackman died, and I didn't mean to watch 3 Gene Hackman movies in a row.
oh my god,
It just like kind of happened where I didn't want to, like, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Then I watched it. And then the next day I was like, oh, this kind of looks interesting. And I watched it. So I watched The French Connection for the first time.
oh.
And absolutely loved it. I was really worried that, you know, the 70s is like hit or miss for me. I did not know Friedkin directed this. I
was gonna say it's like classic.
Yeah, I knew nothing of Friedkin involved in this. Obviously, I know it's like an iconic movie. Why it's an iconic movie other than it's old, I have no idea. Like, I've never looked into it. So I just kind of went into this blindly, and I was like, oh, Gene Hackman, yeah, let me see. Like, you know, I know this was like one of his big roles, and like, yeah, it bangs. It's awesome. It's got our boy Roy Schneider from Jaws in it, and this is, it's awesome. I saw a lot of like what do we call them? Generation Alpha, whatever they're called. Saw a lot of young kids on Letterboxd just ripping this apart. Because the cops are like, you know, Gene Hackman's character is like super racist.
those are definitely
And
Zoomers.
It was just interesting to see because I got worried before I watched it. I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be like really distasteful. But it's like, no, like you can tell, like, you know, Gene Hackman's playing this guy with care that is like, he's a piece of shit. And he's a complicated character. And I was just like, it's kind of sad that no one is willing to like really understand, you know, complicated characters, and not every character needs to be Chris Evans, Captain America, and tell you to watch your language. But I thought that was great. And obviously, you know, pretty much every modern era, like cop movie, like owes itself to this. Like, it has iconic chase scenes, like so much of it's just iconic. And I thought it was fantastic. Then I followed that up with one I've seen before, but I haven't seen it since I was younger and it came out, Enemy of the State, which, you know, is another Tony Scott. And so I like it because of that. I don't think it's like Tony Scott's best, but it's a pretty insane cast for people that were like nobodies at the time. But like, you know, Jack Black's in this, Seth Green's in this, Jason Lee's in this. I mean, he would have been someone at the time. But like it's just like John Voight's in it. I mean, like everybody, Gene Hackman, Will Smith, Regina King, Lisa Bonet's in this. Like,
oh, my queen.
It's just insane how stacked the cast is, and like how so many of these huge stars now play just like bit parts that are on the screen for like 2 minutes. And it's a fun little romp. I don't think it's the greatest. And then, yeah, last thing I watched was Mississippi Burning, which I had also never seen. Another Gene Hackman movie. Tubi recommended it to me, and I was like, I put it on, and I should have known better because I know it's like.
Wait, did Tubi recommend all of these to you?
No. The other 2 I watched.
I was gonna say, and you're like, I wonder why I watched a bunch of Gene Hackman movies.
The other 2 I watched on Disney Plus, and Mississippi Burning. I should have known because I know it's like an iconic movie, but I turned it on because like, if it's not bad, I just got a new phone, so I'm like, I'll plug away at setting up my new phone and anything, and then my attention completely on this. I did not realize how good this was going to be. Tough watch, real tough watch. It's you know, it's about like the Ku Klux Klan in Mississippi. There's a lot of very disturbing stuff, but like another just amazing Hackman performance. Willem Dafoe is like his subdued FBI partner. So it's kind of interesting to see Defoe in this like quiet character that's like super nerdy, doesn't say much. And then like a very, very young Tobin Bell in this, who plays like one of the, like some random FBI agent. And I can't think of his name, but it's the guy that plays is it Eddie Winslow, or I can't remember the guy's name from
Family
the Cosby
Matters?
Show. No, the Cosby Show.
No.
What was his
Carl
name?
Eddie
Winslow's
Winslow was on
Family
Family
Matters.
Matters.
No. But it's the guy that played the brother on the Cosby Show.
Theo Huxtable.
Theo Huxtable. Yeah, that's it. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
I can't remember
Sorry,
any
I've
actor's
erased all
name,
of
but
Bill
yeah.
Cosby stuff out of my brain. But yeah, he's in this movie when he's like 10. Like, he's super young in this, and he's fantastic in this. And yeah, it was a great watch. It was a very sad watch, and but it was fantastic. And and how can I forget? Horror icon Brad Dourif is in this also. Very young Brad Dourif.
Oh,
Shocker. He's in literally every movie that was produced between the early 80s and now.
It's kind of interesting, the theme between all these Hackman movies is it's interesting like how many people want to work with Hackman like at when he was an actor, because all these casts are just insane. And as I'm like looking into the movies while I'm watching them, it's the same stories of people are just like, I want to work with Hackman. Like, I'll take a pay cut. I'll do anything to work with Hackman. So you just get these like stacked casts in all these movies. So,
how much do you think he paid them to say that?
I mean, who knows? So that's all I've watched. We'll see if next episode Disney keeps trying to get me to watch The French Connection 2.
I recommend Narrow Margin.
Yeah. So I might be on a Hackman kick now. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Mike, you're the last one. Mike.
Oh, I forgot. If you skip past me, I wouldn't have even realized.
I know yours is
my
just
God.
Real Housewives, so.
Okay, so first of all, yes, obviously, there are new episodes of Beverly Hills. Well, Potomac is over now, but anyway, there are new episodes. Okay, so hilariously, one thing that I did start watching the other day, because I was out of new episodes of trash to watch, was I realized that there was that Dark Side of Reality TV series on now that's on Crave. It was like produced by Vice, and so I've been watching that, and it's really interesting because I wasn't a huge reality TV fan during its heyday. Like, everybody I know was like, oh my God, like Survivor and blah, blah, blah. And like,
I'm still watching Survivor every week.
My friend, I saw like 5 episodes of the first season because one of my best friends at the time was obsessed. I'm just like, I can't, like, okay, this is fine. But however, I did watch Joe Millionaire because it was a train wreck. And there was an episode on that.
I think I watched that as well, like when I was much younger. Joe Millionaire, when was that? Was that the early 2000s?
That was literally like 2003 or 4
okay,
or something.
I feel like that was something like my mom was watching, like shortly after her and my dad like split up. I think she was watching Joe Millionaire, and I watched a few episodes of that.
That does sound like something that a just divorced mom would watch because he was really hunky and
makes sense.
All the everyone's were in love with him. So I'm watching that. I'm actually on the Real Housewives episode right now, so I'm like pausing it because it's like too close to home right now. Also, I don't want the episode to end because I'm like, ooh, like I love watching the people who aren't on it anymore talk about it. But other than that trash, I did actually watch some good movies and stuff. Let's see. Okay, well, I did watch another garbage with my friend. We have our Tubi night, of course, and we watched this one called Terror in the Shadows, which was a 1995 TV movie. I can't even describe the plot because the plot always says that this lady escapes from a mental asylum and goes after the person who like has her kid, but like that's not actually, like, it's not her kid, so she's just like going after her ex for no reason. And she's psychotic, and he has this like new relationship, and she's like started a cafe, and essentially it's like a crazy woman and like a suburban woman, like butting heads. And
that sounds good, actually.
It's you probably would enjoy it, actually, Jill. We had a lot of fun. We were drunk and like just kind of screaming at it the whole time, so it was bad, and I would not want to watch it again, but like it was fun to make fun of, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, the wardrobe was awful. Like the hair was awful, the sets were awful, but
Bad
we had a
wig
lot of fun
list?
like making fun of that. Bad wig. Oh, yeah. And actually, it was not even bad wigs. It was like just bad. Like you could tell they did their own hair in their car on the way there.
I'm laughing because of how emphatically he was like, "Oh, you would enjoy this, Jill," and gave it a 2-star on Letterboxd. Garbage.
Fuck.
What? I know. I think Jill would enjoy it, like for a bad movie, you know. I know that she's capable of watching a movie that's not good and like still getting something out of it.
Thank you.
So I also watched for like a change of pace. One of my friend online, like he is like has superb taste. He's a film critic, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I think I watched it after we recorded, but Crossing Delancey. It's like a romantic comedy from 1980. I can't remember if it was 85 or 87. Hang on, let me check. 88, sorry. And it stars Amy Irving, famously of Carrie, and a lot of other good movies like The Fury. She's a little bit of a scream queen, but oh my god, it's just this like beautiful, like literate, like light romantic comedy. It just like really warmed my heart. And it's my friend's, like it's his favorite movie, and like his Letterboxd, you know, you have your 4 favorite movies at the top. All 4 of them are that movie. So like if you go on his profile, it's just Crossing Delancey 4 times. And I had never seen it because the like VHS art, I used to see it in the video store all the time, and it just looked so fucking corny and stupid. And then I was like, oh wow, Nick really likes this movie. Amy Irving's in it. And I kind of like did some research, and I'm like, oh, this is actually very highly regarded. And I watched it, and it actually like warmed my fucking coal black heart. Like it was so fucking good. It's on Criterion Channel right now, and Criterion actually just put out a Blu-ray of it. I honestly recommend everybody watch it because it's a beautiful movie. New York in the 80s, and you know, she's like works at a bookstore, but it's like, you know, one of those like, I want to say like kind of hipstery bookstores where it's like, you know, an institution, and like authors come there to like read and hang out, and they drink wine after hours, and it's just beautiful. And her grandmother sets her up with a pickle vendor, but she's also getting courted by this like kind of macho, you know, famous author, and it's just like, oh, beautiful. So yeah, watch Crossing Delancey, everybody. It's on Criterion. I also rewatched a fave of mine, the Gus Van Sant fucking stone cold classic To Die For, starring, you know, Queen of Everything, Nicole Kidman. I've been wanting to rewatch it for a couple of years, and I was going to hold off because I really want to get the 4K of it because I know it's going to look insane, but I just couldn't resist. I just wanted a like black comedy Nicole Kidman fix the other night, so I had to rewatch it, and it's just a fucking masterpiece. It blows by like that. Again, you want to talk about stacked cast before they were stars, like the kids are all like, you know, like Joaquin Phoenix and shit, and it's like, well, minor detail, you know, it's just, that's Gus Van Sant for you. So yeah, I rewatched that was beautiful. A couple days ago, I had one of my best friends over for a 4K night, and we finally watched my 4K of one of all of our favorites, I'm sure, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Obviously, a stone cold classic, 5 stars. It looks amazing on the new 4K they just put out before Christmas. Just an absolute beauty aesthetically. It's just one of those movies that like in the 80s, like everything, even when it was a shoestring budget, like looks good when you remaster it. Like, holy fuck, like bring back movies that look that good. And honestly, that's like, other than playing Marvel Rivals because I'm completely fucking addicted, that's like all I have watched recently. So yeah, that's it. That's my consumption for the last couple weeks, and listening to Lady Gaga's Mayhem, so stream that over and over. Killa Hive, rise up.
Well, with that, let's get into our film and why we chose our film, which is Leprechaun in the Hood from 2000. Because it's St. Patrick's Day. This might be
why did we choose this film? Bro, really? This
might be the closest we've gotten to an actual St. Patrick's Day release, because I think this episode will come out one day before, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're like, man, I hope there's some podcasts about Leprechaun in the Hood out. And oh, there will be. There will be. So yeah, we'll get into the synopsis and first experiences, and then get to talking about this Oscar winner.
The Hood has never seen anything like this before. Warwick Davis, Ice-T, Leprechaun in the Hood.
Leprechaun in the Hood was directed by Rob Spera and written by John Huffman and Doug Hall, and the story is as follows. After going intergalactic in the last iteration, the lowly leprechaun ventures to where he's never been before, the Hood. When Butch, Postmaster P, and Stray Bullet loot the local hip-hop mogul studio to fund their demo album, the three unwittingly end up finding the secret to Mac Daddy's success, a magical flute. Their gigs instantly turn golden, but also awaken a bloodthirsty leprechaun who wages a path of destruction and many politically incorrect limericks.
So, our first experiences, is this our first time seeing it? Or, if you're like Colton, I can see in the background, he's got 2 posters on his wall of this, and...
yeah, one of them signed.
Is it signed by
the woman from Leprechaun 3?
Oh my god, not her.
I was gonna say, is it signed by the Fly Girls? Yeah, so is this your first time seeing it? I don't have anything that witty on this one. Colton, I said your name. Have you seen this before?
No, I haven't seen this before. And it's gonna continue to be every year I haven't seen the new Leprechaun movie,
love
guys.
it.
I'm not just watching these in my my free time. I think when we're done with this, I will have seen everyone once. And that's enough. Some of them are still fun, but I don't need to watch them again. I'm good. Mike, have you seen Leprechaun in the Hood before?
No, I have not. And by the way, it doesn't, just so you know, rest assured, I'm telling you, it doesn't count as a rewatch if you just watch the snippets of that lady's, the supercut that you made of just her scenes while you're getting
I don't have to log that on Letterboxd? I don't have to embarrass myself? Okay.
I think that'd be awesome. All your logins, your write-ups are just jerking off.
Jerking off. Jill, what about you?
Same thing here. I think me and Colton are on the same leprechaun trajectory. Maybe all of us. We'll see.
We all are, except for Ro.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Mm-hmm. Is it Ro? Have you seen it before?
No, I've actually never seen this one before. We are also
really?
Yeah.
I honestly thought this was one of your fucking lore movies.
Absolutely. I thought this was gonna be an influential movie for you.
No, I mean it was a year ago, but if you do recall, even Space, I had only seen the first 5 minutes of that one, and I hadn't seen that one in entirety. 1, 2, and 3 I've seen multiple times. Obviously 3 being the most. Because I don't know what you guys are talking about. 3 to me is that's Troll 2 territory. That's just banger.
That's the best one, for sure.
It's
I will agree.
It's fun.
To take a step back and try to actually judge them. 3 is certainly the best.
I don't know. I think 2 is the best.
The bar is underground, but I mean, okay,
yeah,
Jill,
no, I'm for real.
You did.
I will say 1 and 2 are reasonable. 1 is just a 90s horror movie. Anyway, we're getting into all this anyway. But yeah, no, I've never seen this. I was very happy to open up my Blu-ray Leprechaun collection, and this had never been popped out of the case, so popping it out, throwing it in.
You bought that years ago. I can't believe you've never put it on while you were doing something else.
I can.
So, let's get into it. Let's get into the bomb that is Leprechaun in the Hood. Is that what they called it? I think they called it the bomb.
Well, they also call him Lep a lot in this one too, which is...
Well, I meant the weed. I think they called the weed
the bomb. They called the bomb, yes.
The bomb. So, Leprechaun in the Hood. Because where else are you going to take him after Space?
And also...
Do we know why they decided to do this? You watched the behind
100%,
the scenes.
100%.
All right, let's get to it, because I was just confused. Because, usually when a franchise goes intergalactic, you go to space, it just kills it, and there's never anything else afterwards, right? It's like a Jason X or something. Why did they take him to space and then take him back to the Hood? What is this?
The original script for this was actually supposed to be called Leprechaun in the White House, and the original concept for it was that it was going to be a family similar to the Clintons, because it would have been the Clintons at the time, and the Leprechaun would infiltrate that family, and it would be the Leprechaun just causing havoc, I guess, with the American president. They opted not to do that. And so the reason In the Hood was picked from the interview I saw with the director was he said him and Warwick and them were told that the highest consumer of the Leprechaun movies were black people, and black Americans were purchasing or watching the Leprechaun more so than anyone else. And as a faceless corporation, Lionsgate, this was like the first one Lionsgate was involved in.
Okay.
Because of the Trimark sale. This would be the last one Trimark has its stamp on.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, let's pander. Let's just do it. So they decided they were going to the Hood, which, I mean, to me, it's not a new idea. Maybe a new idea doing it this poorly. Like, you know, there's...
and written and directed by a bunch of white guys, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was just... I guess, like, this is where I'm already going to start, like, complaining. Like, so we have Ice-T. Like...
But, Rowan, you're saying it's not a new idea. Do you mean, like, releasing like a movie like specifically directed towards a black audience, or do you mean like horror franchises going to the Hood? Because
well, yeah,
I actually I can't name very many other than this one that does the latter.
I think there has to be like a difference here to me where, like, you know, to me something like, you know, Get Out or like something like that that's like just really thought through and things like that. There's lots of other stuff, like I'm thinking about like Killjoy, which I'm sure I'm the only person that's ever watched, which is a Full Moon franchise that does Puppet Master. They have one called Killjoy, who is a clown. The first movie was an all-black cast, Killjoy played by a black actor. Full Moon was like, we want the black market in horror. Let's make this character. There's like, I don't know, 10 of those movies now. I think the first one and one other one are the only ones that have anybody black in production. Like the rest were just made by white people that were like, all right, let's do it. But and it's not great. They're not great movies. Like it makes this look like an Oscar contender. And I just mean in terms of that, like there's lots of examples of bad horror movies that are like, yeah, we're just gonna like try to get in on this market and not do a good job of it. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what anyone was thinking.
Well, I can give you a hint. They weren't thinking at all in any step of the process.
I was saying in the group chat before we recorded, like in the featurette, the director said this was like his favorite movie ever made. I went and looked. I mean, the only thing he's made a note other than this is Witchcraft. He did the first Witchcraft movie.
They're awful, but also kind of iconic.
But it doesn't, I mean, it probably wouldn't surprise anyone to know, like, this guy used to work for Roger Corman. This is like a guy from the School of Corman. He's a film professor now at some university, which I think is hilarious that, like, you would go and it's like, oh, yeah, my professor, you know, he's a Leprechaun in the Hood he made.
Oh, and a movie called Sexual Predator that starred Angie Everhart? What? Angie, girl.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I just don't get it. I'm thinking about, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about Chucky. Like, there was one of the Chucky movies, I can't think what it was, where we tried to infiltrate this market, because one of the movies has Method Man and Red Man in it. I can't remember what one it is. It's like Curse or Cult or one of them. I'm just saying, it's not a new idea for these guys to be like, let's get like, you know, someone in the hip hop community or something and kind of give it this flavor. And I mean, Ice-T
Halloween at Part 8.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween Resurrection would be the perfect example.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes, Tyra Banks, like all this stuff. I just, you know, to me, like with Ice-T, they kind of dropped the ball, because I'm thinking 2000, like Ice-T was probably on Law and Order by now.
I don't think he was. I think this was a few years before he was on Law and Order. This was before he had that like resurgence, I think, because of that. So I feel like this was like probably the pit of his career.
It's just it's a bizarre thought. I've really been looking forward to having these conversations, because as Colton, not a huge hip hop guy, I think I'm going to go out on a limb there. I liked his puzzlement face and Jill's puzzlement face. I expected in all this. But I'm just saying, from someone that is heavily listens to hip hop and all that stuff, like 2000, like Ice-T, probably not the most relevant rapper at the time. Like,
no, I feel like by the mid 90s
he was
kind of like on a decline. Yeah,
Ice-T is like late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s is peak. So like fully almost a decade before this.
Yeah, the only other rapper in this, Coolio.
Is he even in it? They literally panned the camera to him and then he disappears.
That was it. He just made that cameo appearance in the church. And even then, like 2000, I mean, what? Coolio's big song Gangsta's Paradise was like, what was that, 94, 95?
Like no later than 95.
So other than these two, there's no one of note. None of these actors are like, to me, like, you probably, if I'm casting, like, I'd be trying to get someone from like at least like blaxploitation films from the 70s and like early 80s, like someone that's like kind of like iconic in like low budget black cinema. But instead they went with like just people that have no acting credits, essentially, because they have no money. I mean, understand. They like, these are, I think the budget for this was like $1.4 million or something.
Wait, I was wrong. This came out the year that he joined Law and Order.
Oh, so big year for Ice-T. Yeah. Big year.
But
this
it was
part
definitely
of the career
like
resurgence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. Just the start of this movie. Are we automatically just gonna buzz in Mike here, tag in Mike for Wig Corner, or?
Oh, I lit my literal first note. Ice's wig! Exclamation point! Question mark. It already. I paused the movie and went on Letterboxd and added it to my bad wigs list.
So I think I had a note before that where I said, this is the whitest approximation of a hip-hop beat over the opening credits I've ever heard. It's like literally, let's put some drum and bass in there or something, you know. It's just like, all right, we got it. This is like a hip hop beat. It was just
the entire film is like this.
I know. Instantly, I was like, this is definitely scored by a white dude. I haven't even searched it up, but I could just tell.
It is.
Like,
it is.
Yeah.
It's like a goatee, bald white guy with glasses that like looks like a hipster, like a 40-year-old hipster who, in the featurette, admits he never listened to hip hop. He had to like,
no shit.
He was like, I had to research like in less than a week, like how to make a hip hop beat.
I just find it so funny because, you know, there was like these kids probably in like high school or early university who were making insane beats that would have just literally probably done it for free. You know, like, that would have been way better.
Someone that, like, in their teens was embedded in, like, the hip-hop community. I'm just saying, in 2000, like, you could go to the early internet. There was, like, websites. You could buy beats from producers for, like, $20. Like, kids
Acid
in their bedroom.
loops and all that, yeah.
Like, you could definitely just get... I'm sure someone would have just gave them beats with, like, a royalty, you know, something. Like, or probably just given it to them and be like, sweet, I can be in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could make a decent hip-hop song on, like, your PC.
But, yeah, also my first note is exactly Colton's. My first note was, I like that all of these beats are generic West Coast sounding rap music that would be made by the whitest guy ever. It was like he heard one Dr. Dre song and he was like, yeah, I can
do
gist.
this.
Yeah. And it's bizarre to me. The casting of like the three leads is bizarre to me. To me, this is where you would cast at least one of them at being an actual rapper. The three guys that have to rap in your movie
should know how to rap.
Because you might have been better off just getting the white composer guy to rap.
Okay, but hear me out. I agree, and I also am gonna play devil's advocate and say maybe it makes sense, not that they tried this, but because they're like having to use a like magical flute
that they suck
to scam their way to Vegas, right? So maybe it kind of makes sense in a roundabout way that they actually do suck.
But even when they were good, they
were good. Yeah,
even at the end of the movie where it's like, oh, now he's successful and he's possessed by the leprechaun. It's still not good. Like, Warwick Davis comes out 30 seconds later and does a better rap than what we just
I
at the
also
end of the
think
movie.
that thing doesn't make them talented. It makes people like it's like
True,
being a
yeah.
snake charmer, right? Like it
Yeah,
kind of like woos
that's true.
people and like
Mhm.
pulls the wool over their eyes. So yeah, I like obviously you're right, but also I'm like in a weird way
It works.
worked out.
Yeah.
You're right. It's way more clever than I'm giving it credit for.
yeah. And it
Yeah.
certainly didn't mean to be that clever, but
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, the names of everybody in this movie, like. I'm kind of worried because I wasn't sure if I like should be laughing or not. I was just like, are we sure this is all right? Like, I was like, are a lot of things in this movie like low key racist because white people made it? Like, literally, like, you know, Postmaster P, Mac Daddy, Stray Bullet.
Stray Bullet, yeah.
Like, I was just like,
Yeah.
that's
tough.
This isn't even my parents. This is like if I went to my grandparents and I was like, "Hey, I'm writing this movie and I need some names of rappers." And like this is, you know, they'd be like Bullet Head. I don't know. Like they just
God.
I'm sure it wouldn't be
Bullet
Head. I'm sure it wouldn't be great.
I think it also like works in the same way that me and Mike were talking about how the bad rapping and the beats and the singing works. It's like, yeah, and all the older people make fun of them because they're like, Postmaster P, what the hell is that anyways? And he's like,
The P is for positivity
and all that. So
I'm not
weirdly,
gonna lie, I laughed
it does
so
kind
hard
of
at
work.
that. I laughed really hard at that.
And he did say it like 8 times.
I did love the
Also,
grandma.
if you have a group like your whole goal is like not just to like get on and become large, as they kept saying, but like also they want to like have this positive message. They're kind of like, you know, this would have been 2000, so I get it. Like they're kind of trying to portray themselves as this like mid 90s, like A Tribe Called Quest, like jazz backpack type rap, a little more conscious.
Okay, so these sorts of like positive rap groups kind of existed.
Oh,
Is that what
yeah.
you're saying? Because okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was parodying like something that actually happened or if it was like going off of like the riots that happened in LA in the 90s and basically being like, oh, what if we make it all positive? what you know,
no,
that I was like,
I mean,
oh,
this,
no,
this
that's
definitely
bad.
happened. And I mean, obviously, like 80s hip hop was usually a lot more like positive. Like, think of people like Run DMC. Like, it was a lot more kind of elementary
yeah.
and all ages. But after NWA came out, then a lot of East Coast and some West Coast stuff, like, you started to get this movement of like people sampling a lot of jazz. It was a lot of like, you know, we have elevated horror, it'd be like elevated rap. That's what they would call backpack rap.
Tribe
like,
Called Quest.
Yeah, Tribe Called Quest, The Far Side, Slum Village. Like, it would be like nerdy rappers that would rap about like social
Gotcha.
justice and stuff. But I just thought it was hilarious because you have one of these groups and then one of your main MCs is called Stray Bullet.
Stray Bullet. Like,
Who also gets taken out by a stray bullet in the movie, right? Like I'm not mistaken there. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
Stray Bullet kills himself.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, whoops. Okay.
Well, the Leprechaun kills him technically.
Yeah.
but-
Okay. Not a
Yeah.
stray bullet. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my first thing. Is there's just a lot of stuff in this that I was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't okay by today's standards.
I got two of I think are the most heinous racial crimes in this movie. I think when the leprechaun first kind of appears and he's like, free at last.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was
holy
rough.
shit. We are not starting this off strong. And then also, well, this isn't very racial, but it's just calling a douche a douche is pretty funny to me.
That's not racial at all. But I saw that and I was like, oh, it's clearly before like douchebag was like a popular
Yeah.
term. Like, you know,
Douche.
I like that you had that listed in the racial section.
No, it was just a crime in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair. I think one of the biggest crimes of this movie is how the statue of the leprechaun looks nothing like Leprechaun and looks a little bit more like Mickey Rourke nowadays.
Well, I thought that
Ooh.
not only that, but when he gets turned into stone the second time, and they literally just use a filter of some sort, like it's not even an actual statue. It looks like they just put a filter over the image, so it's like crackly. And I was like, this doesn't even look like stone at all. It just looks like some weird camera filter,
Well,
which
that's exactly what it was, you know?
I mean, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure
some
it was.
early VFX guaranteed.
And I always get worried, man, like, especially in that opening scene, like, I knew right away. I was like, oh, yeah, so they've reused this from one of the other Leprechaun movies. I remember this.
They did multiple things like that. Like the safe, they did that in Leprechaun 2, and like the steam shit that happened in Leprechaun 2 as well.
Yeah, and I didn't get the safe thing because in Leprechaun 2, part of the lore they introduced in that was like, oh, because it's like iron or whatever, and the leprechaun can't get out of it. But in this one, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
He just got out of it. So
He's got his bitches.
Am I misremembering, or there was like a pawn shop owner that was killed in one of the other ones as well, right?
Yes, in 3.
Isn't it like it's a creative kill from what I remember, right?
In 3, he like bites off his toe, and they like have a cat and mouse chase scene. And then 3 is where he pogos on him.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was watching this, I was just essentially like, I remember the Leprechaun movies having like creative kills or funny kills or whatnot. This movie like just fades to black so often, or it's just like a bit of blood coming out of someone's mouth or like, you know, out of an ear or something like that. Then like, this is so toned down from what I remember the Leprechaun movies being.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was way toned down because you're right. Like there was Leprechaun 2 had the one where like he mirages the fans as the girls like tits, and then Buddy puts his face into it and it like chops off his face. And
Yes,
I forgot about
that's
that.
the best.
yeah, but I mean, like there's lots of, and even one that obviously like Leprechaun 1 is a lot more like serious tone than they turn out to be. But yeah, like they all had like some pretty creative, gruesome kills, which is the fun of these. And this is where, I mean, you know, even on like the featurette thing I watched, they interviewed the only 2 people that returned to this from any of the other ones was Warwick Davis and the FX artist who like basically just works with Warwick Davis ever since. I think he started on Leprechaun 2, maybe not 1, but he's been through all of them. And he was like, I came on, they weren't too sure because he was like, I don't really see a lot of like kills here. So, and like even the kill of the Mac Daddy sidekick there where he shotguns the hole in him. Like he was saying that the reason they did that was because that body with the hole was at the studio from another movie, and they were like,
might as well use it. We got it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. I should have wrote it down, but they named the studio. Apparently, this is all shot in studio. Like they said,
you don't say.
They said the only stuff that's actually out of studio is some stuff with cars pulling up by graffiti walls, and that's actually the walls of the studio outside.
They literally just jumped out the fire exit. And
that's super common, but yeah.
I can't think of the name of it, but he was basically saying, like, it's a studio that, like, Corman uses a lot. Like, it's for low-budget films that they just have a lot of different sets you can use, and you don't have to do a lot to them.
Throw a bit of your own furniture in there. Like that club was definitely the club in the last 3 Leprechaun movies.
Well, yeah, and like he was just saying, like literally most of the sets they use, like the stairwell in the hallway where that guy gets shotgunned, like he was like, we didn't even touch it. Like that was a set from another movie before us.
Did he actually get shotgunned? I thought the Leprechaun just used like telekinesis.
Yeah, he used magic. And
so that's what I want to go to. That was that like a present thing in all the other Leprechaun movies where Warwick Davis just stands there and like waves his hands around to like blow holes through people and stuff? I don't remember it if it was. But when I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, it's just so lazy. It's just like the Leprechaun gets near you and he just kind of like force pushes like he's in a Star Wars movie or something and blows a hole through you. It's just so boring.
I agree.
In all the other movies, I mean, anything he can kind of do like that, he always like manipulates something or, you know, like throw something at you, or it's some sort of gag.
Yeah, I understand there's like magic involved in all the other ones.
But
like,
it's
implicitly like just being like, I don't know, like a force push or something, you know, to kill everybody. It's just like that instantly just makes the movie a lot less interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, like I said, just this whole movie confuses me at like what it's about and who's it for. Because like even on a low budget, like you can make it bloody. You can make some kills. Like lots of lower budget movies than this have like pulled off, at least being gruesome and stuff. And I was just like, to me, it's weird because, like,
I mean, see number 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And 4.
Like, I wonder if that had anything to do like, I didn't even look what the rating is on this, but I don't think it's an R. I wouldn't think. I mean, it might have been back then. Now it'd probably be rated
for language, possibly.
Yeah, but like, to me, it's just kind of like I guess I could kind of see if they were banking on this being like 14 or something, and they're like, hey, let's make sure everyone can rent this at the video.
It was rated R.
What a geez, that's
just throw it out there.
Well, this one for parents, let your kids watch.
There's a lot of
it's not that
N-words.
bad. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's true. It was full of slurs.
yeah, yeah. So I guess if you're a parent and you're going in with the knowledge that just white people wrote this, it's a little cringe, as the kids say. Yeah, it's just a lot of, it seems like they threw a lot of the lore out the window of the Leprechaun.
There was like no lore.
They always
in this
do.
movie, basically.
They always just like
other
start
than
new.
Yeah, it was like an amulet that goes around his neck. That was like that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, to me, it's just sad because even with space, like, to me, they always like try to build something in like that might be different or, you know, erase the movie before it. But like, even the space one had like a lore to the princess stuff and why he wanted to marry the princess. And there's all this backstory. Now, I know the argument for this, you know, the interview I saw with Warwick Davis on why he agreed to come back to this one was, he said he liked the idea. He thought the idea was unique. I like Warwick Davis, so if you like Warwick Davis...
Can we just say, like, he just likes money? Like, is that fine? Like, clearly, like, he is getting paid something to come to these movies. He is iconic. Like, he is an iconic, like, horror slasher. So, like, did he really love the idea of Leprechaun in the Hood, or did he love the couple $100,000 that he got paid for making it, right? Like, it's just... I don't think this was, like, some artistic pursuit by Warwick Davis, you know?
To me, this was very much... This is like the Robert Englund thing, right? Like, I think Warwick Davis didn't want to hand this character off to someone that he felt wouldn't do a good job to it. Which, I mean, they would have just done, right? They would have just casted whoever and threw some makeup on him, and that would have been it. But, I mean, Warwick Davis claimed he thought the situation could provide funny moments. What I was saying was, if you're a fan of Warwick Davis, maybe don't listen to the interview, because I was just like, man, this is rough. Like, he essentially was just like, I don't know any black people. I didn't know anything about, like, anything, like, any black culture coming into this. He didn't really seem to care about learning about it, other than he found out he had to do a rap at the end of the shoot, and then... He was like, I asked the black guys to teach me how to rap. I also think that's, he's like British and they don't have all, they have a little different history with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just like a lot of clueless people working on this that it was bizarre. And then it turns out, like Colton said, Warwick Davis probably one of the stronger rappers in this.
Yeah.
Never saw that coming. Yeah, I keep going back to that first scene. A guy gets killed with a Afro pick.
Yeah.
Is that like that was another thing that I was kind of like, ooh, like white guys automatically went to the Afro pick kill.
Actually,
and
like
then
that.
Immediately after that, it's Ice-T like pulling like multiple things out of his afro, to combat the leprechaun. He just has like everything in there. I was like, all right, like obviously some of this is comedic, but it's also like, it's just white dudes writing this shit, right?
Well, and when he was pulling the stuff out of the wig, at that point I was like, I was trying to be optimistic because I was like, okay, this is going to be more of like a Wayne's brother, like slapstick.
And if
like,
it was
airplane.
written by them,
a
Wayne's brother movie, I would basically be like, oh, okay, well,
Oh, it'd be funny. That would be
like they're probably doing it like tongue in cheek at that point, right?
That's what I got from watching
also,
it.
the bottle of Colt on the
Colt
table,
45,
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, they're just really hitting the like absolute stereotypes.
I
think Colt 45 gets a bad rap, honestly. So
sorry, Jill.
No. I was just gonna say, watching this made me want to watch any scary movie, and especially Scary Movie 2. I feel like this could have gotten a lesson from it.
Multiple.
I think it's just kind of a shame because whether or not, as time has gone on, like you like Ice-T's acting or not, like I feel like there's a good, like, I mean, like not in this, but like as he's become an actor, more of an actor and stuff, like I just feel like his seriousness could have been used so well with comedy. Like, I just feel like you could have played him as this, like as the straight guy in the comedy, and it could have worked really well, but there was just, like, something off about him. Like, I think he's way too intense, this whole movie, for how silly it is.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing. Like, I know in the Warwick Davis interview, he was talking about how any interaction he had with Ice-T was like, Ice-T did not talk to him in a personable manner. He was just like super serious. He said Ice-T was serious and scary the entire time.
He didn't realize that he was supposed to be camp.
Yeah.
I literally have like no opinion on Ice-T because you were talking about how he has like good roles, and I was like, man, have I ever seen Ice-T in anything? So I think he was a character in one of the Gears of War games. So you could, like, play as Ice-T.
Law and Order. That's all he's in, man.
Okay, and I was going to say, and I just pulled up his filmography. I've seen 1 out of 136 things he's been in, and it is Leprechaun in the Hood. So
nice.
He's not very good in this movie, is what I'll say.
No, let's be real. He's an atrocious actor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to say that he was, like, good by any means. I just meant the character he plays, which even on SVU is, like, just kind of Ice-T as a cop. Like, he's just very serious, very angry. I just think they could have used it better in this because he's essentially doing the same thing. I did have a note. I was like, shout out to the zombie fly girls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I knew you were in love with them.
I just thought it was super funny.
That wasn't in the other ones either, was it?
No.
Because there was so much when I was watching this that it's like, obviously, like, we're only watching these once a year, and I'm not going back to re-listen to the episodes. I'm not rewatching. And I was like, okay, like, obviously there was prominent women in the other movies, like, because I remember the one from Leprechaun 3 and don't really remember anybody else, but, you know, there was a princess in 4. When I was watching this, there was a scene, like, earlier on in the movie where Warwick Davis was, like, I don't know, they were cutting to the Leprechaun, I think, to see, like, what he was doing or how he was reacting to when they were playing the flute, and there was just, like, a woman sat next to him, and I was just like, what is this? Like, what is Warwick Davis doing here? Like, it wasn't set up at all. She's sitting there with sunglasses on. And then it's not until like 30 minutes later in the movie where he's like locked in a coffin or something. And he's like, yeah, there's something where he's like summoning the zombie ladies or some shit. I forget the line, but I was like, where did this come from? Like, I was like, he's just summoning the zombie fly girls from his coffin, and I was just like, I missed something here. Like, you know, where did these ladies come from?
You know, there's not a lot of women in this one, like you said. Like, usually there's like at least one prominent one, but we do have a lot of cross-dressing in this movie.
Yes,
true.
Yes, I was gonna say we will maybe leave the horrible scene of like homophobia and transphobia like in a coffin. Like,
yeah, that's a tough scene, yeah.
I will kind of say, like, not, like, it's bad, but, like, not as, like, when I first was like,
it could have been worse.
I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I was like,
okay,
it could have been a lot worse.
Here's the thing. As soon as it started, my stomach went in a knot, and I was like, oh God, not this. Like, please. And then when Leprechaun shows up to the apartment, I actually, like, I don't know what was going through my mind. Like, I think I was still hungover from Friday night, and I was like, oh my God, is there actually going to be, like, a nice, like, progressive little moment here where the Leprechaun gets to fuck Fontaine and then goes after the dudes? And I thought for like 45 seconds that it was going to be like, oh wow, this moment isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And then no, it was obviously they're like, how dare you? Like, you had faith for like 45 seconds that this movie wasn't going to be horrific and offensive for the whole time. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, and also weird because then we get like towards the end we get Postmaster P and Butch also deciding the only way to get to him is
it's a baffling third act for sure. That you know, that's where they go, where it's like they have the two leads cross-dressed to then like seduce the leprechaun with like a joint that has clover in it.
Why wouldn't Butch take the weird light glasses off, the flashlight things?
Because he's the tech guy. I don't know.
I thought I missed something, and I was like not interested in rewinding to see.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm accepting that he's just wearing these for some reason that I may or may not come to learn later. But I guess...
I will say all the scenes with Leprechaun and like the hypnotized girls and just the shots of like the ladies around him, I thought was hilarious. I was like, this is funny. Like, it was just because it was so absurd.
I mean, you know, obviously they were parroting like video girls and stuff.
Well, and I mean, zombie fly girls were the dancers on In Living Color not called something fly girls?
No, they were called the Fly Girls.
Were they
Jennifer
the Fly
Lopez
Girls?
was famously a Fly Girl.
Okay,
yeah.
I couldn't remember if there was something before Fly Girl. So I'm assuming that would be, you know, they're like, hey, reference In Living Color.
Yeah. Speaking of, you wish it was Scary Movie.
Yeah, exactly. But now that I think about it, because Colton brought it up, Leprechaun does use this power in Leprechaun 3 because your girl there for a while. He like hypnotizes her and she's into it's the owner, the casino owner.
Yeah. She like seduces him.
Yeah. So I guess it's not the exact same power where like
he doesn't just like summon her from a coffin though, and she just appears and has no agency, you know, and just kind of walks around. But it is similar, yeah, you're right. Like the hypnotizing.
Is this movie better if Postmaster P wasn't interrupted when he was about to go down on the Leprechaun?
I don't know what I was expecting there, but like I did sort of like lean in a little bit.
His head went down a long ways, and I was like, are we not stopping this? Like, what's going on here right now? Also, fully committed. All I could think about was the guy from the Fire Festival documentaries that was like, you know, willing to suck dick to keep it going. And I was like, he's like, that's how bad he wants this whistle. Like, he looked like, I'll take, you know, he's like, I'll take a shot in the mouth for this whistle. So
the gayest leprechaun.
And I have to say, Fontaine served the most cunt of anybody in this movie. Like, she was actually really hot. But I love how when they both got into drag at the end and stayed in it for like 25 minutes or what felt like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I love how they like did Butch dirty and made him like really sort of like raggedy looking. But they made Postmaster like look really hot and like gave him not a good wig. The wigs were like really dry and thirsty and like awful, but like the less awful of the two of them.
It's funny because I think Anthony Montgomery for a lot of this movie is actually, as Postmaster P, is actually doing an okay job. He's not like, I didn't think he was.
He's the only reason I didn't turn this movie off.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually terrible for most of this movie. Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's a terrible like rapper in the movie, but like. There's moments near the end of the movie specifically where he's talking to Ice-T and he's like tearing up, and I'm just picturing like as an actor it's like, okay, I'm coming to like, I look grungy, I'm wearing a dress, I'm cross-dressing here, I look kind of goofy, like is what people would assume, and he's like genuinely like upset, tearing up, talking to Ice-T like with the gun held and whatnot, and also looking kind of badass. I was like, all right, he's really trying, you know, like he's actually acting. He's one of the few people in the movie I was like, okay, he's pretty impressive. Other than, of course, Warwick Davis is always Warwick Davis in these movies. He's always doing a decent job. And, you know, of course, his makeup is good and whatnot. But yeah, I was kind of impressed by Postmaster P, especially in the third act where he had a little bit of like emotion, like, you know, with Butch dying or with, you know, Stray Bullet, you know, that sort of thing. Like he had some stuff to work with there.
Rob Spira, the director, he said in his interview that Anthony Montgomery was the best actor he ever worked with, and he was like, no matter what, he was like, I always tell people that he was the most talented actor I ever worked with. So Sally didn't happen for Anthony Montgomery by the look of his Letterboxd actor credits. I don't think it worked out too well for him.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I did want to bring it up. I did find real rough. You brought it up really early, Colton, where like the cuts, the edits, that just like,
oh god,
fade to black and then just open up another
like
scene.
Commercial break.
Yeah,
it's
really,
like, you know, it's like, yeah, it's what you'd see when it's like a movie is like made for like streaming or something nowadays, or like obviously in the, you know, cable TV where it's like they literally like fade out like it's some sort of, I don't know, soap opera or something, right? Oh, Mike's gasping. What?
No, sorry. I was actually looking up Anthony Montgomery because he looked really familiar to me and I couldn't figure it out. And I just realized that he was in one of my favorite shows of all time. Ryan Murphy's first show, Popular. It's really good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Anyway,
Ryan
sorry,
Murphy.
I didn't
Ryan
mean
Murphy
to
must be a
interrupt,
big Leprechaun in the Hood
Must be.
I can almost guarantee you that he actually is.
But yeah, no, I agree, Rowan. The editing in this is super rough. And for me, a lot of the time, it's just clear budgetary restrictions. But I also don't know why. Like, I understand, like, conceptually, like, the idea of, like, doing blood and prosthetics takes money, especially at, like, a $1.3 million budget. But, like, what they're showing is, like, so little that it's funny how they have to cut away so often. You know, it's like, I think it's like the Fontaine kill they cut away from at a certain point too. I mean, you know, I don't know. We don't even really know exactly what happened there. I guess Fontaine's being strangled or something. But it was just, I don't know. So many of the kills, so many of the edits, a lot of this is just kind of baffling, and it doesn't really make for a very immersive experience, that's for sure. Like, you know, Mike was saying, like, he was a little distracted when he was watching the movie. When I was watching the movie too, I was pretty bored, and I'm usually the person on the podcast that I like turn everything off. I'm hyper fixated on the movie, just trying to like basically take it all in. This movie, like, I was bored so much of it, and it's only 90 minutes long, and I think a lot of it is just like, it feels like it's cutting to commercial break every 15-20 minutes as well, and it's like resetting everything, right? Because it's just like they didn't know where to go, I guess, or like didn't have the budget to show what they wanted to do. I have no idea.
I don't think they had any idea either. So,
Fair.
you know, it's all really pretty messy.
I want to express like some disappointment in the fact that like we do eventually get there, but I'm upset that the Leprechaun like wasn't more fundamental in like the rap career or like earlier in the movie. Like, I would almost want the Leprechaun to be like the Mac Daddy in a way, because like he's always rhyming through all these movies. He has like an obsession with gold.
I like that idea.
He could be like helping them like achieve their rap career, kind of, you know, and also like, you know, killing people around them to make it so like they need him more. Maybe he's in pursuit of like a gold record, you know, like I was just like, I want the Leprechaun to be like more instrumental or more like weaved into like this hip hop and rap, you know, like theme, or, you know, kind of like dressing of the movie. And the fact that he only like really comes in right at the end, like where he's like, oh, I possessed this guy and now he's, you know, a famous rap artist, but also I'm going to come out and rap as well. I was like, I wanted that like right from the beginning of the movie. I wanted him to basically be like set up well as already as like a rap producer or something silly, right? I
figured that's what it was going to be.
Yeah. Me too. Like, yeah, where it was like right away where they were kind of saying like basically these three guys' goal is like to basically become successful rappers. I was like, well, you know who has been rapping and rhyming for 4 movies leading up to this one? Leprechaun. And then they don't really do anything with it. I was so disappointed that it didn't come in until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, traditionally a Leprechaun movie is centered around some type of like folklore with Leprechaun and him like creating an issue, or it's about the pot of gold. You know, like the pot of gold is usually pretty instrumental, and yeah, it's definitely missing from this. And also, like, to add to your point, at the very end when they do that like performance and he's sitting back watching and he's like, I taught him everything he knows. It's like, but where was that?
Yeah, I wanted that. It's so funny to basically be like, I want the Leprechaun as a mentor, because it's like most people you pitch that movie, they probably don't want to see it. But the thing is like, you can have the Leprechaun as this mentor who's like, you know, controlling their careers, but also like, once again, like killing off their family members or their girlfriends or like, you know, rival producers, stuff like that. You can still have the bloodbath around it, but you're making these 3 rely like solely on the Leprechaun. Like, as a lot of people who are in, you know, the music industry, they are like beholden to the producer or beholden to their management. And I was just like, I feel like there was something missing here. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty dumb movie and a dumb idea, but like they definitely like didn't take what I think could have been like a better idea for this movie. Like, they didn't mine it for what you could have done with it. Hopefully in the next one they do. I have no idea where that one goes.
So, I mean, everybody just make sure you keep your eyes open. We'll be doing a new Patreon campaign for Colton to direct his first film, which will just be a Leprechaun in the Hood remake.
Of course, yeah. I'm very passionate about it with my extensive knowledge of hip-hop, you know, rap. I'll make sure to get a good team of white guys to work on it.
I was going to say, you already have more credentials than the people that made this movie, so, you know.
Possibly.
Because you've seen this movie.
I have. Absolutely.
I do have to say, I forgot to say in the editing, my favorite bad editing part in this was when they're getting ready to go rob Mac Daddy, and they're like, I don't know if they're like train tracks or somewhere with, you know, and Butch and Stray Bullet are there. And then Postmaster P is walking in the distance, and it just keeps cutting.
Oh,
and he comes.
I had a note of that too. Yes,
and he comes closer, but it keeps cutting him closer. But also he's basically right on top of them. And Stray Bullet's line is like, "Who's that?" And it's like he's literally right in front of you. It's your best friend, and he has no idea who this person walking up to him is.
I was like sleepwalking through watching this movie that I forgot about that. I made a note of that too. That was great. Where he's like 20 feet away, and they just keep cutting. I think they cut 3 times to get him closer. So like in the grand scheme of the movie, they saved like, I don't know, 6 seconds or something probably, right? But they felt so passionately about that he had to get closer, but they couldn't just start from the third edit, right? That is just, yeah, that's great, Rowan. I'm so glad you brought that up. I forgot that was in the movie.
Yeah, so obviously they need this career to go because Stray Bullet needs glasses. So, because he can't see anything.
Were we happy? So I like, once again, I was just fascinated with the idea of like Leprechaun in rap. Do we think they should have been able to like sample the pipe to some degree? Like, I understand they try and do it very quickly at one point in the movie, and then it doesn't work.
100%.
But I thought that could have been interesting as well, right? Like taking it and using it to like cultivate a fan base, you know, mixing in the pipe somewhat with like the Leprechaun's verses and shit. That could have been fun. So I was like, okay, they did address it. I was wondering the whole movie that I was like, okay, are they going to get popular by like, you know, sampling the pipe in the music? And then they just like, oh no, we can't record it. It doesn't work. And I was like, that's pretty lame. I wanted the pipe to be like integral.
I think of drugs. You mean like the flute thing, right?
Okay. The flute. Sorry, the flute. Whatever. Yeah.
Okay, that brings me to a very important question that I had written down that I actually completely forgot about. So the version that I watched, literally a sound never came out of that flute the whole movie. Every time he put it to his lips, there was nothing.
So there is no sound recorded in the scene, but it's like it's playing like a little ditty, like multiple notes clearly. And when he's blowing into it, it's just like his fingers are in the same position, but like clearly to be doing it, you'd have to like be pressing different buttons, like, you know, covering different holes.
Yeah, but when you watch that movie and he puts that up to his lip and everybody starts like getting entranced, is music or any sound coming out of it?
Only in like the score, from what I saw. There was nothing like actually
one I
like
watched,
diegetic
there's
in the
nothing. Like
Okay.
literally, it's dead silent. I watched it on Tubi.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but
okay.
it's also very like I had headphones on when I was watching this. Like it's very slight. You probably wouldn't notice it if you weren't really paying attention.
I mean, I was sitting there going, when is sound going to come out of this? So I was paying attention.
Same. I agree.
Yeah, it's like once again, it's like it doesn't match up at all with what he's doing. Like you would expect it to be like one sustained
but
note.
like
and how
there
he's
was
holding
literally
it.
nothing coming out of it at all. Yeah,
it was some piece, like I would say, is like from the score itself, wasn't it? Like, you know, just a piece of it would play. Yeah, but like once again, not at all like a flute, not at all how he's holding it. I don't know. It was baffling. I don't even know why they put this idea in the movie if they didn't even have like the wherewithal to like allow him to like blow a single note on a flute or a recorder or anything.
Well, and this is where it could have used like actual producers, like actual maybe like hip hop producers, because to me, which would add to the camp, which would make it more enjoyable, is not only just the flute, but like to me, it's like, okay, they have all this like generic West Coast music, but like why not like have the like even just the score of it be like hip hop sampling like Irish folk songs, like just like really lean into this like weird blend of like Irish music and hip hop that wouldn't, you know, unless you're House of Pain, wouldn't really go together. Also, just a travesty that you didn't have a House of Pain cameo in this. It was sitting right there.
Oh yeah,
for
it was
you.
a travesty.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know them well. Yeah.
Which, I mean, listen, I had so many thoughts watching this where I was like, could you not have done like the hip hop scene and like, wouldn't there have been more to pry at if this was like in Boston? And like there is a hip hop scene in Boston. Obviously, you know, I made the House of Pain joke, but 2000s, you know, they could have got Benzino, who at the time was very popular. He owned The Source magazine, the biggest hip hop magazine of all time. Like you could have done stuff with this. Like, I mean, obviously Boston, all its sports, like the Celtics, all this stuff. Like The Leprechaun in Boston are like one in the same. So to me, it would have made more sense to like put it somewhere in there rather than it be like, I get LA and it being like, oh, you know, like I know movies happen in LA, like in, I guess, music also, but like it's not even an integral part because they're trying to get to Vegas. They're not even doing anything in LA.
But they already did Leprechaun in Vegas, so they can't do that movie again.
So they can't go back. So they should have brought it to the East Coast. I mean, this also just, to me, it's like, we're in LA. You should have just got more rappers in this at least, like something. Make it more campy.
The only other things I have is that I didn't expect like a double dream fake out in the movie. Do you guys remember? I was watching the movie and I was just like, oh, interesting, like grandma gouging out Leprechaun's eye, and then it winds up being like a dream, and then there winds up being another dream right after that other dream, and I was just like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing Inception in Leprechaun? I was just like, it was just so hokey once again.
Are you saying that Christopher Nolan stole the idea from this?
It could be possible, maybe a kernel of an idea, you know, from this one.
You just wait. We're gonna find out like all the great 2000 cinema was all just derived from people watching Leprechaun in the Hood.
If we have nothing else to talk about, I do think we should at least just talk about the final rap number.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think it was pretty fun to end the movie on. This is gonna spoil it, but like for this movie, the entire time I was like, "This is miserable. This is tough to sit through. It has no interesting kills. You know, the couple of things I liked about the last ones weren't even in this one, but they do end on kind of a strong note. I did like the Lep in the Hood come to do no good rap number at the end of it. How did we all feel about that?
It was pretty white, as a rap, because he kept saying "Lep in the Hood, come to do no good," like over and over again.
But this is the kind of white it should have been.
This is what I wanted from the whole movie. That like after them going to Vegas, like this is what this should have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah, like 100%. Like we said, like this whole movie should have involved many times that I got to hear the Leprechaun rap, like to rap beats and intertwine his limericks.
Absolutely.
You know, he says a limerick every time he kills someone, even if it's it's out, you know, not part of the film. He should be limericking, and there should be goddamn rap music playing to these limericks.
Like, imagine we see the beginning. They all suck, right? They're like, we got to do something to change our careers. They accidentally steal the Leprechaun's amulet, and now he's beholden to them in some degree. And he's like, you know what? I can teach you guys how to flow. Like, that's like way more interesting of a movie that is like hilarious and still on brand with Leprechaun, right? It's just, I'm so disappointed it didn't go in that direction.
Well, I can't wait for the remake, so do us proud, Gold.
Stay tuned. After Space, where they didn't do the limerick thing, I'm happy at least that they brought back the limericks. I'm a big believer in Klil, K-L-I-L, keep limericks in Leprechaun. So,
True.
You know.
I can get
a star for that.
I like that. Mike's already just Mike does not like that acronym whatsoever.
I have thoughts about it, but that's fine. I'll just keep them to myself.
Rowan, let's wrap this up. It's over 2 hours about Leprechaun 5. No one's going to listen to this.
So we're at the 2 hour mark. Another hour to go. Yeah, if that's everything, let's land the plane on this one. So if you're new to the podcast, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, you got the blinking St. Patrick's Day glasses going on. What would you rate Leprechaun in the Hood?
Well, as you know, a friend with weed is a friend indeed, but a friend with gold is best, I'm told. And I gotta give Leprechaun in the Hood a nay because it just was a letdown. And it could have been so much more. Like, I do like Leprechaun doing gimmicks, like in Space and in the Hood, but it does really lose that authentic Leprechaun charm that's in at least the first 3 movies. I think in 3 is when it starts getting a little gimmicky, but it still works. It works very much in its favor. But this one is just, it's not funny. There's no like insane Leprechaun kills that we've come to expect from watching these movies. And there wasn't enough Leprechaun. I watched this twice this week, and every time I watched it, I was trying to like remember bits and pieces because the plot is kind of so incoherent that it's hard for me to remember what actually happened. And like Colton said, it's a hard watch. So yeah, it's not really my favorite one at all. It's my least. And I don't know, maybe the next one will be better, but it's an A from me. Mike, how about yourself?
Well, Jill, I fear it's also an A from me. I pretty much agree with everything you said.
You guys are cowards.
It was boring. It was incoherent. I mean, like, there was about 5 times at least during this movie when I went, wait, are they in Vegas now? And they were still just hanging around, like, doing a shitty show in, like, their neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, what the fuck? Like, when are they going to wrap this up?
In their neighborhood, doing a show, like, on a guy's deck. On Fontaine's, like, deck.
I actually, I loved that deck, by the way. And I didn't talk about that was the one set that I didn't hate in this entire movie. But yeah, it was just listen, I didn't want it to be Leprechaun the musical, but yeah. I'm also very disappointed that it wasn't, because that is the only thing that would have made sense. Like, I agree with Colton there. Like, there should have been, like, I was expecting, 100%, I was like, oh god, I'm going to hate this because it's going to be Leprechaun the musical. And then I hated it because it wasn't Leprechaun the musical. So make it make sense. But that's the way I feel about it. So yeah, it's an A for me, I fear. Colton.
Yeah. I'm not going to change it. It's an A from me as well. I think the kills in this movie are just bad all around. The only one that was even somewhat interesting was the Reverend kill, which we never even mentioned, where the hand comes out. But it's like, yeah, we've seen similar things in the other Leprechaun movies. It's not exactly breaking new ground with that. I do think Anthony Montgomery was better than this movie required. Like, he elevated it to a certain degree, but it's also, the movie is so bad that he can't, like, save it just by having, like, a decent performance. And yeah, it was just, like, conceptually, the story, there was so much more you could have mined with this. I don't think anyone ever should have settled on this idea anyways, but if you're gonna go this route, there was way more interesting ways that I could have seen this movie going. And I understand you're not supposed to review, like, the movie in your head. That would have been better. You're supposed to review the actual movie, but I was just so disappointed, like, right from the first 15 minutes where I thought maybe this movie would be going, that we didn't even really get anywhere near that territory until, like, the last 5 minutes. Was pretty disappointing to me. The dance sequence, I will say, slightly saved it a little bit. I honestly don't know if I prefer this or Space. I think they're both pretty bad, but I did very much enjoy the dance sequence, like, rap number at the end, for, like, what it was. But yeah, it's still gonna be an A from me. Yeah, it's not a good movie. Rowan, wrap things up for us.
Yeah,
but don't rap.
But just in a lep rap. It almost sounds like a slur. It sounds like something I shouldn't say, but
yeah, lep. It's not good. I don't like how they referred to him as lep so much throughout this movie.
It makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
Is Leprechaun in the Hood racist to leprechauns? That's what we're going with here?
Oh, God.
Yeah, so surprisingly, I mean, I think anyone listening is like, Rowan's definitely going to do something that isn't an A. But I am also going to come in on an A. I think this is the least fun one so far. Because, you know, you were talking about Space, Colton, and I was thinking about Space, and I think the gimmicks in Space were better than this one. Like, they did some fun stuff that kind of, you know, did a lot of, like, callbacks to, like, science fiction movies and, like, things like that.
True.
So at least it was fun. This, you know, would have possibly raised it for me if they did something like that, where, like, why don't we, like, kind of parody, like, 90s, like, hood movies that, like, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society.
Because that would have required any of these people to watch one of those movies.
Yeah, they would have seen that. I'm not saying it'd be ideal either, because then we would be complaining. Yeah. They're like, oh, these white guys are... But, like, to me, I think we really found out what it needed. It needed, like, the Wayne brothers or something like that. They, like, could really give it the, like, horror comedy that the Leprechaun is.
It needed competent filmmakers.
People that knew what to do. And honestly, I just kind of feel like maybe I would have preferred Leprechaun in the White House rather than this
my God,
one.
yes.
I mean, maybe Warwick needs to come back to this, and they need to do like some Trump-inspired leprechaun. Maybe that's what's going on right now in the state of America. So maybe Leps running everything.
Could be. That's going to be the grand reveal.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be like Wicked with the wizard reveal, except not bad. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely.
Wait, he's still alive? I don't know why I thought he was dead. Sorry.
No,
I
he's
was
not
like,
dead.
he can't come back.
Yes,
And
he's
then I'm
still
like,
alive. He was in like that Willow TV
Yeah.
Plus movie. Yeah, a couple.
Oh, I forgot about
Or
that. I
series, yeah.
prefer to keep Willow as like the old movie, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it got wiped from Disney Plus as well. You can't even watch it if you wanted to.
Oh. Anyway, sorry, Rowan.
No, so 4 nays from us. We agree on something. It's been a while since.
That's pretty rare as well.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know,
that we
I wonder
agree.
if that's more rare, or like the quadruple slay or the quadruple nay. Probably the nay.
I feel
would
like
say.
I
definitely
feel
the
like
nay.
we've done a nay like before. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always a pick by like me or Mike or Jill or someone that gets a nay because we're
Yeah.
assholes like that. So we told you what we thought about the film. We asked what you thought about, and only one person wrote in, which was sad. I listen. I was hoping people would write in. I saw people on my letterbox. There was people that had definitely logged this, and I saw some defenders of it. I'm just saying that there was. I saw like some 3.5 and 4 stars given that obviously liked the joke of it more than us. But Holly P. Whorehound Holly P is the only one that wrote in, and she just wrote, "No!" exclamation mark, and then said, "Maybe it's time I actually watch a Leprechaun movie."
Not this one.
Don't.
The
Yeah,
first 3,
don't start
the
here.
first 3 are fine. I think
Yeah.
the first 3 are a pretty good time. They're not masterpieces, but like they're fun. They're fun to watch with like people, or you know, if you just want to have a good laugh. But yeah, maybe stay away from this one. And from there, we will go over to the horrific hotline where Nicholas sent a voicemail. And by the tone of the actual email he sent, I can only imagine where this is going.
Okay, so to say I had high expectations would be very dramatic, but I did expect
insane as well.
Leprechaun in the Hood to be better than the one in space, and yeah, it's not that much better. I mean, it's a little bit better because the space one is just a complete dumpster fire of trash. And this is just above that, but not much. There were almost no redeeming qualities in the movie. I found it extremely unfunny, and the scenes played for humor felt like they were just, well, a really bad copy of one of the earlier Scary Movie movies, and it didn't work at all. Also, I mean, none of the Leprechaun movies had been scary, but this one, yeah, just like the space one, no horror. There's, I think, like one jump scare that's not made me jump and probably not made anyone jump. The only redeeming quality of the last 2 Leprechaun movies was Warwick Davis, who I felt like had even less of a role, and in the end had to perform this incredibly cringy song, which
Come
didn't
on,
vibe
Nicholas.
with me at least.
That was a
then
bop.
You get like Ice-T
It's a bang.
as your main character, at least according to the credits, but he shows up for 5-10 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And the rest is those 3 dudes doing stuff, most of the time not even interacting with the leprechaun until the final 20-25 minutes. The one thing I can say is I was a bit surprised that the leprechaun made it through the movie, because I think in all the other movies he gets utterly destroyed by the end, which has never held him back from coming for an even worse movie. So I'm not sure if you're going back to the Hood next year with the 6th movie, but please maybe have a break of the leprechaun movies.
Okay.
Well, if it's not obvious, that's gonna be the second biggest matinee of all time so far, right after, Leprechaun in Space.
Oh,
listen, I will say that I knew it was angry. I gave a little sneak peek in his write-up where he did tell us that he wrote, yeah, pure torture. Any chance that there's a different Irish theme movie for next year? Hope you guys had a better time with this movie than I did, or actually no. Since you make me watch a Leprechaun movie every year, I hope you suffered through this one as well.
Fair.
Now he was.
I like the way you think.
He was nice and said he still likes us. So we'll find out how much he likes us next year. Because of course we're going back to the hood. Of course. I will say we never talked about, but he did kind of know there. This actually the first Leprechaun movie that Warwick Davis isn't the billing on it. Ice-T is actually the main billing on it, and Warwick Davis. Yeah.
Bizarre. Yeah. Probably
Real
just
bizarre.
agent negotiations more than anything.
Yeah.
But if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can do so by sending it to us at itslayspodcast@gmail.com or messaging us on one of our socials at itslayspodcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. If there's a social media that isn't Twitter, we're probably there at It Slays Podcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Mark, Steven, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams hosted by Jill, and get episodes of this here main show 48 hours early. Be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, there was a little bit of licensed music in this movie. We never talked about any of it.
Yeah, apparently an Ice-T song was in this. I don't even remember that playing.
I think it was like in the background at a bar or something. At
yeah,
one
because
point.
the whole time I was thinking, Jesus, they wouldn't even get an Ice-T track, and he's in the fucking movie.
Apparently, he was a shrewd negotiator if he's top billing for this. So yeah, maybe you don't want an Ice-T track in here, really.
Yeah, and like all the other licensed music, I'm looking at it now, like I'm a hip hop guy. And I've never heard of any of these people, so
that's crazy.
They were, but I mean, there's stuff that can go on the playlist. Maybe Jesus Loves Me. That was a little
banger. Wow.
Straight bullet to the heart. What about Positivity? Positivity. I mean, obviously we have to see if Lep in the Hood. If Lep in the Hood is on Spotify, there's no way it doesn't get top billing on our playlist. But yeah, if you want to find out if we found Lep in the Hood, you can go to Spotify and look up the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. If you have any problems finding it on Spotify, you can go to any of the social media Colton just mentioned and click on the Linktree link and go to in the bio, and it'll take you directly there. We upload licensed music and scores from iconic horror movies we will review, or just horror movies we love. So go follow that and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And all that is left is really to announce the next episode. So we're out of the anniversary stuff. We're out of St. Patrick's Day, and it's Colton's pick next. I think he's just starting August early. I think that's what's going on. No,
yeah, not quite. But I also haven't really settled on something either. So I'm going to do something unparalleled. I'm going to ask you guys: would you rather watch an elevated horror movie? It's not A24, but it's definitely kind of that sort of thing, or a foreign language horror movie?
Oh my
Jill,
God, you're not even going to tell them?
Not going to tell you. No,
Elevated.
I'm going to pick Elevated. Okay. Rowan?
Methcator.
Which one is that?
Yeah, I heard it's both, actually. I heard it's elevated and foreign language.
What about you, Mike? Which way are you leaning?
I'm supposed to be the tiebreaker here. Ro didn't even pick anything. Ro,
I'm going to say foreign. What did she say?
Okay.
What
she
did
said elevated as well, so it is down the mic.
I'll say foreign.
One way or the other.
I'll also say foreign.
All right, cool. Well, that means we're doing a movie by a director that I mentioned much earlier in the show. I've had it on my list for a while, so we're going to be doing Bong Joon-ho's The Host from 2006.
Yes, I've had that on my list.
I was going to say, I don't think, not everyone is, as particular about their Letterboxd as I am, but, not everyone had it logged on Letterboxd here. So I was like, well, it's been on my list for ages. Let's check out Bong Joon-ho's The Host.
Sweet. I'm actually excited for that.
I feel like there was a Leprechaun in the Hood pun that we could make there, like Bon Joon's hose or something. But,
zombie hose. The zombie, I don't know.
So, yeah, get the host into your eye sockets, and we will be back with that in 2 weeks. As always, thank you for all the support. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
And I'm Colton.
And bye, it's Jill.
See you later.
Really, Rowan? No buckles on me shoes? Come on, man.
Buckles on me shoes.